Coming up on today's edition of Airborne, Gamma says the Obama budget proposal will negatively impact aviation safety. The Navy cancels the Blues' entire 2013 season. And the Lycoming jury verdict raises more questions than answers. I'm Ashley Hale. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. The administration released its long-awaited fiscal year 2014 budget on Wednesday, which serves as a guideline for the administration's spending and policy initiatives. That budget, unfortunately, continues to promote policies that hurt general aviation and fail to lay out the foundation for growth in aviation manufacturing and general aviation jobs. As in recent budget proposals, the new budget proposes to create a $100 per flight user fee payable to the FAA by aviation operators who fly in controlled airspace. All piston aircraft, military aircraft, public aircraft, air ambulances, aircraft operating outside of controlled airspace, and Canada-to-Canada flights would be exempted. Opposition to the proposal is already rolling in, and among those speaking out against it is Gamma's CEO Pete Bunce, who says, quote, "Unfortunately, the president's budget is more of the same for general aviation. More fees, more taxes, and more attacks on the industry," end quote. Gamma opposes the administration's scheme for a $100 per flight fee and a change in the depreciation schedule for general aviation aircraft to close a politically generated and non-existent loophole. Bunce said, quote, "Gamma has stridently opposed efforts to implement aviation user fees because they will negatively impact aviation safety and hurt small businesses. Rather than focus on these tired ideas, we remain hopeful that the administration will engage industry and Congress to invest and improve our aviation infrastructure, particularly air traffic modernization and next-gen. We stand ready to work with the FAA in making key investment and operational decisions that will enhance safety while better managing scarce resources," end quote. The sequester has officially killed the Blue Angels air show season, with the Navy announcing Tuesday that it was canceling the remaining 2013 performances of its Flight Demonstration Squadron. The squadron will continue to train to maintain flying proficiency until further notice at its home station in Pensacola, Florida. Recognizing budget realities, current defense policy states that outreach events can only be supported with local assets at no cost to the government. On its Facebook page, the Blue Angels said, quote, "The Blue Angels are disappointed in this decision, but recognize that this is one of the many steps the Navy is taking to ensure resources are in place to support our forces operating forward now and those training to relieve them. The team will continue to sign autographs at the National Naval Aviation Museum Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. The Blue Angels team will also explore other community outreach activities near their home station of Naval Air Station, Pensacola. The Navy believes there is value in demonstrating the professionalism and capabilities of our Navy and Marine Corps teams, thus inspiring future generations of sailors and Marines. The Navy intends to continue aerial demonstration in the future when the budget situation permits," end quote. It appears that Lycoming is on the hook for a fatal crash in which a Cessna 172 collided with mountainous terrain and reduced ceilings and visibility, with no evidence of an engine malfunction. The NTSB didn't think the engine failed, and the accident appears to be yet another tragic case of controlled flight into terrain. And yet a jury of our so-called peers decided that Lycoming, certainly a deep pocket, is the one responsible. Further investigation of this matter raises questions about the case, our legal system, and the industry's ability to survive these extraordinary verdicts. ANN is looking into the case aggressively and has received comments from Lycoming that state, quote, "Needless to say, Lycoming Engines division of AFCO Corporation is obviously disappointed about this verdict. First, the engine was manufactured in 1978 and had not been handled by Lycoming since that time. Second, Lycoming did not design, manufacture, or sell the aftermarket carburetor installed in the airplane at the time of the accident. Third, the National Transportation Safety Board did not find anything wrong with the Lycoming engine and determined that the probable cause of the accident was the pilot's improper decision to continue VFR flight and to instrument meteorological weather conditions. Contributing to the accident were low ceilings, reduced visibility, and mountainous terrain. Lycoming is exploring all legal avenues and presently expects to appeal the jury's award. End quote. Bell Helicopter used the 2013 Army Aviation Association of America's annual professional forum and exposition in Fort Worth, Texas, as the launching pad for what they call their third-generation TiltRotor, the Bell V280 Valor. The Bell V280's clean sheet design reduces complexity compared to previous generation tiltrotors, with fewer parts as well as non-rotating fixed engines. The Bell V280 Valor's Army-centric design boasts a number of capabilities and transformational features: 280-knot cruise speed, combat range of 500 to 800 nautical miles, strategically self-deployable 2100 nautical mile range, triple redundant fly-by-wire flight control system, 2 6-feet-wide large side doors for ease of ingress-egress, significantly smaller logistical footprint compared to other aircraft. John Garrison, president and CEO of Bell Helicopter, said, quote, "The name itself makes an important statement of its own. V representing vertical lift, 280 representing its unmatched speed, and Valor as a tribute to the servicemen and women who approach their jobs with valor every day." A new light aircraft design from Zenith has been rolled out this week. The company has introduced its latest airplane, the CH-750 Cruzer. While influenced by its well-known STOL predecessors, the CH-750 Cruzer is an all-new design that is geared toward the on-airport crowd. Sebastian Heinz, president of Zenith Aircraft Company of Mexico, Missouri, says, quote, "Our STOL CH-750 design has been a huge success, in large part thanks to its easy cabin access, fantastic visibility, and for its roomy side-by-side comfort for 2 adults." End quote. The Zenith CH-750 Cruzer features an all-new airfoil supported by a single streamlined strut. Compared to the STOL CH-750, the empennage has also been redesigned for its new mission, with a symmetrical stabilizer and a shortened horizontal tailspan. The newest model will be built using the latest modern manufacturing technology to offer matched hull assembly throughout. Component kits are scheduled for delivery starting next month. You're watching Airborne, more in a moment.
Since its inception, Redbird Flight Simulations has been dedicated to developing new training technologies and processes in an ongoing effort to make aviation safer, more affordable, and more accessible. Consider Redbird's flagship flight training device, the FMX, a superior quality, full-motion, feature-rich advanced aviation training device priced with real-world flight training organizations in mind. With standard features that are anything but standard, such as wraparound visuals, a fully enclosed cockpit, quick change configurations, scenario-based training compatibility, and of course, an electric motion platform, the FMX serves up a level of realism that is simply unavailable in other training devices on the market. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird FMX, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Continental Motors has announced TBO increases up to 400 hours on gold standard factory-produced engines. In 2012, Continental Motors introduced its gold standard factory rebuilt and new engines. These engines incorporate improvements in technology and manufacturing processes that have allowed the increase in the TBO. The increased TBO is applicable to nearly all Continental Motors factory-produced engines, beginning in February 2012, as designated by serial number 1006000 and higher. Nearly all models will receive the benefit of a 200-hour increase over the existing TBO. Aircraft owners that fly 40 hours per month will receive up to 400 hours. Airbus manufacturing in the U.S. advanced another step closer to reality on Monday in Mobile, Alabama, as construction of the company's A320 family assembly line officially began. During a groundbreaking ceremony at the Mobile Brooklyn Aeroplex, Airbus President and CEO Fabrice Breguet acknowledged the significance of the U.S. facility to Airbus's global growth. Quote, "Building an A320 family assembly line in Mobile is truly groundbreaking for Airbus. With this assembly line, we will be able to meet our customers' needs at their doorstep. When this assembly line opens, we will be the only one to assemble aircraft in Asia, the Americas, and Europe." End quote. The new assembly line, which is the company's first U.S.-based production facility, will be located at the Mobile Brooklyn Aeroplex and will facilitate assembly of A319, A320, and A321 aircraft. Major construction of the facility will begin this summer. Aircraft assembly is planned to begin in 2015, with the first delivery of a Mobile assembled aircraft in 2016. At full production, the assembly line and associated facilities would produce up to 4 aircraft a month, which directly translate into employing as many as 1,000 high-skilled workers. Boeing completed a 787 certification demonstration flight late last week. The flight marked the final certification test for the new battery system, completing the testing required by the FAA. The flight, conducted Friday, departed from Payne Field in Everett, Washington, with a crew of 11 on board, including 2 representatives from the FAA. The airplane flew for an hour and 49 minutes. Landing back at Payne Field, the crew reported that the certification demonstration plan was straightforward and the flight was uneventful. The purpose of the flight was to demonstrate that the new battery system performs as intended during normal and non-normal flight conditions. Boeing will now gather and analyze the data and submit the required materials to the FAA. The company said in a statement that it expects to deliver all the materials to the FAA in the coming days. Once the materials are delivered, Boeing says it stands ready to reply to additional requests and continue in dialogue with the FAA to ensure it has met all of the agency's expectations. Well, at last it's Friday and time for Jim Campbell's Barnstorming Commentary. So what has Jim in a tizzy this week? Well, it's the president's budget proposal and a few other problems that has Jim warning of barbarians at the gate. Here's this week's Barnstorming Commentary.
Thanks, Ashley, and hi, folks. Well, yet another bad week for aviation, and God knows there's been a lot of those lately. Let's go over this briefly, because if this isn't a barbarian at the gate situation, I don't know what is. To make an exceedingly long story short, the administration, in its infinite wisdom, has decided to, 1, kill military jet teams as an austerity measure, and didn't want the Defense Department or any of the individual services to suggest alternatives. That was just the way it was going to be, period. And as a result, the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, which have inspired hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people to military service and possibly an interest in aviation, and entertained millions around the world, well, they're out the door. That's it. For a while, we were facing the threat of tower closures right and left, and the tower closures made no sense at all. Down the road from here, a couple of miles, is St. Augustine. St. Augustine is a very busy airport. Yet further down the road, another airport not nearly as busy would have kept its tower, while St. Augustine would have lost its. St. Augustine is a hotbed of jet activity, aerobatic activity, sport activity, training activity, you name it, it's got it. Heck, there's a 737 on the ramp as we speak. You name it, they've got it, and yet they were going to lose a tower. My big question about the tower situation and the ultimate reason why they decided to delay it was the fact that I think Washington cottoned on to one specific idea. That was only a matter of time before they killed somebody, and somebody would have to answer for it. And now, $100 per flight user fees. Now it's not going to be for piston, and it's not going to be for certain charitable emergency functions. And if you're going to Canada, well, it doesn't count against you either. But let's face it, when the government camel gets its nose under the tent, it's only the start. We know that the $100 per flight plan user fee will at some point affect the rest of GA because it's the way government does things. Folks, add it all up. The government, and I can't believe I'm saying these things. I cannot believe for somebody who's as dyed-in-the-wool a patriot as I want to be, plan to be, try to be, that our government has become public enemy number one when it comes to the survival of GA. We have so many threats to the well-being and the future of GA that we really didn't need this administration and the rest of Congress. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of villains here threatening us even more. Aviation is swirling the drain. We're in big trouble. It will take aggressive, it will take vocal, it will take thoughtful, it will take educated actions to be able to turn this around and convince our elected officials that they're not doing what we want, and more important, destroying an industry that is as all-American, uniquely American as any I know. It is time for aviation to rise up. It is time for aviation to say, no more, enough, I'm mad as hell, to quote Mr. Beale. It's time for everybody to get together and be as aggressive as possible so that there will be a future to aviation rather than a continual decline into silence and death. It's going that way. We've got to stop it. Think about it, folks. Tell me what you think needs to be done, what you want to do, but for God's sakes, get involved. The camel's nose is under the tent, the barbarians are at the gate, and aviation is dying. For the Aero-News Network, Aero-TV, and of course Airborne, I'm Jim Campbell, and I'm hoping for the best.
Well, that's our program for April 12th. Remember, you can get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories at aero-news.net. And please join us again next Tuesday for another edition of Airborne. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.